Okay. All right. So I'm calling the order. It's 5:25 p.m. And welcome everyone. We do have Brad is excused. He is a new father as of earlier this week. Betta is remote. Cal is remote. Zane is excused and Den is excused, and everyone else is here. From our voting commissioners, and then we have Ellie and myself from non-voting, and Europa representing us. And so we do have, Europa is going to be doing a presentation today, but we also have guests. Would you like to make any public comment for the record?
I will, sure. I have two different comments. I'll be sure. Tomorrow, I don't know if you're aware of this organization Beyond Plastics. They're having a webinar, The Perils of PVC Plastic Pipes. So we're doing a lot of replacement in Kingston. I don't know how we're doing it in Kingston currently, but maybe there was even ARPA funding for more of it. But are we replacing it with PVC pipes? And should we be? And can we move away from that eventually if we are? Tomorrow, if you go on the beyondplastics.org site and you go under events, there's a login for this webinar that's tomorrow at 7 p.m., 7 to 8. Then also, I wanted to say that I'm really glad that the city of Kingston has been looking into bike share. It's really another form of public transportation, and it will make our streets safer if we get more cars off the road. Unfortunately, the Common Council is misguided, and they're misguiding each other in this idea that what's really important in the proposed legislation is that we're going to give the bicyclists more tickets. They're talking about like the laws and rules chair wrote an email in February saying we'd like to parse this out and put off the bike share because we don't want to encourage more bicyclists in Kingston at this point. And because of these and what she called accidents that have happened recently. And then at this last meeting, it was echoed by a number of them saying we like the wording of the rest of it, which is additional laws for bicyclists that's put into it. And they want to just have those and not the bike share part. And somehow magically when they're ready, somehow then we could do a bike share. But the very basic idea of not understanding you take more cars off the road, then you will have a safer environment. So I would encourage everybody to just call their elder people about that and tell them what they think about that. More bike laws for bicyclists. I think there's a number of Common Council members who are hopefully going to look at that this week, this month. People have been reaching out to them saying, well, you might want to reconsider trick bicycling, like are we banning the pop wheelies and different aspects. I think that if we're going to have more legislation, and also this change of scope, when before November it was legislation just for the shared services, the shared system, but when it was introduced in January, it was legislation for all bicyclists. I'm not sure that the Live Out Kingston Complete Streets Advisory Council and Climate Smart Kingston has yet discussed that. Like, is that something that really should stick? That change of scope of the rules for bicycle riding? Should it go be? Maybe it should stay just for shared system riders. Thanks.
So I just want to echo what Tanya is saying. My name is Rose Quinn. I'm the former president of Bike Friendly Kingston. I am a league certified cycling instructor. I'm very informed on the laws. And I can tell you that within this new legislation, there are direct contradictions to New York state law. For example, the whole idea that cyclists should have to ride single file is a direct contradiction to, and you can look this up, DMV, and ride two abreast. There are very good reasons why a cyclist might need to ride two abreast. We are legally entitled to take over the lane if we need to. That is DMV law. And I absolutely do not understand why there would be something in this that directly contradicts with New York State law, when New York State law is pretty clear. There's also, as Tanya stated, the issue of kids, and that's what we're talking about, and let's be really frank, this is kids of color who are riding around on their bicycles on the streets, which are basically their playgrounds. And what are they doing? They're riding and they're doing tricks and they're having fun. This has been criminalized in other communities, and it has led to really terrible interactions between the police and kids. So what we're trying to do is actually foster police relations with the cyclists. This is a terrible way to go about doing it. There have been examples of kids who've gotten tased, bikes get seized routinely. It is a really, really, I would say, wrong-headed way to go about trying to address safety issues. I also received for years through the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee a grant on traffic safety. So, I mean, I'm pretty versed in what it is that we need to do to keep people safe. And really, the more we create situations where kids are going to have to be interacting with police on their bicycles, the more danger, literally, that they're going to be in. And that's like, we can see that across the board in communities. There's other things also. There's a stipulation there about not being able to lock up the private property. I don't know if anyone's thought about that, because in Kingston, we don't have enough bike parking. So that means if I go into a store and I lock up my bike to the gate, that store owner could call the police on me instead of just saying, hey, you know, who locked up the bike there, right? The police could seize my bike. I could get ticketed for that. Like, these are, you know, the Kingston police will say they have a warehouse full of seized bikes. Seriously. So, and in terms of like what the precedences are, like for the police interact, you know, in 2020, we had the police stopping kids mostly for not having belts on their bikes, right? Do we really? Yes, because that is New York State law. New York State law does say that you have to have a belt on your bike. How a New York State trooper knows from behind that you don't have a belt on your bike is beyond me. It's also been cited in other communities because it's really just an example of broken windows policing, which I think most of us would agree we probably want to try and get away from. It is the antithesis of community policing. So also to echo what Tanya's saying, more bikes, good. Whatever we can do to get more bikes, great, but not by over legislating or creating laws where frankly, we don't need them. Like I have not really heard of, in terms of safety, I can't think of any kid who's gotten hurt in Kingston by a car. I don't know about scraped knees and stuff, but there is not like this big epidemic of kids who are being wiped out because they don't wheelies. Let's create parks. Let's create environments where kids can do this stuff safely. I totally agree with that. But for right now, what they have is the street. So don't criminalize that, please, please. Yeah.
Thanks for your passion, and I also feel strongly about that. And I was curious if you know, in the process it takes for somebody to get a driving license, the learning permit, driving test, how much of that is focused on cyclists on the road? Like, can we also approach this from training drivers to be more aware to share the road?
All right, well, that's a great question, and right now the answer is very little.
Right.
There is a very small section in the permit manual about share the road, and there was just legislation that we've been working on that was just passed that adds one question about a pedestrian, one question about a cyclist onto the permit test. The problem is, and we're kind of pushing back against this, the questions are they're almost always very leading and almost like, so if you're on your bicycle and your brakes don't work, instead of being like, well, if you're a driver and you approach a cyclist, what is the appropriate way to handle it? Yeah. Those are the questions we would like to see, not really more questions targeted, you know, how to. By the way, I'm also a bike educator. I spent years doing this. I totally am down with we need lights, we need helmets, we need all of that stuff. don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I want kids to be safe, but I just don't want to see their activities criminalized when there's no reason for it.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We do have bike share on the agenda later in the agenda, so we will discuss that later. Do you have any public comments that you'd like to make for the record?
No, but happy spring to everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you. All right, are there any modifications to the agenda? We need a review and approval of the March minutes. I did not print any for everyone.
I revised them.
Okay. I did notice that it was stated in the attendance that you're on. Okay,
Yeah, I couldn't see the far end of it, so it was like,
I didn't have any other
see
issues.
him? Do we hear him? No, neither one, went back and looked, and yeah, Calvin pointed that out.
Okay, are there any other, anything that any of us know?
Karen pointed out a date that was incorrect.
At the end.
at
Oh, the
end.
next meeting is scheduled for
Right,
April
right, and
26th.
that was the other meeting I was on, scheduled for April 19th, when I was multitasking. And then the last thing was, Al had made another comment that I inserted, and it had to do with sponsorships for the Earth Fair. And he offered to share contact info for clean energy contractors in the area to reach out for sponsorship.
Okay.
So I put that in under old business, number 3, outreach, education, Earth Fair.
Okay, great. Any other modifications? If not, I need a motion to accept the March minutes as amended. So moved. Karen, can I have a second?
Second.
Roberto, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or abstaining? All right, very good. Thank you very much, Kevin, for putting those together. All right, we are going to move on to our special presentation by Europa. And Europa is with the Ulster County Department of the Environment and is going to be discussing the Ulster County Climate Adaptation Planning work that they've been doing, specifically an interactive map and municipal toolkit. So I am going to share my screen so you can all see it, and then Europa will walk us through.
Sounds good. So I don't have a formal presentation, but I just wanted to do a little screen share like Julie said and show you the interactive map. Before I dive into that, just to introduce myself again. So I'm Europa McGovern. I'm the Deputy Director of the County Department of the Environment. About 5 years ago, I attended multiple of these Climate Smart Commission meetings when the city was getting a NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program grant, and I used to work as a regional coordinator for that program. So I'm familiar with the work of this committee, and I think that this is an important group to present these resources to. So thank you for having me tonight. Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. It is being very, very slow.
Okay, well, that's fine. We'll go as far as we can, and then after that, I will definitely send out the links to the resources, send out the link to the flyer that I'll pass around in a minute. So you may know my colleague, Michael Darcy. He often attends these meetings, so I'm here in his stead as well tonight. He's our environmental outreach manager, and his work has been focused on the Green Business Champions program. But more broadly, we coordinate environmental policy across county government. So really historically, our focus has been more kind of internal county government operations. But I think increasingly various roles through EMC, through the Water Quality Coordinating Committee, and other projects like this one, and a kind of a sister project, which is the Natural Resources Inventory and others. We're increasingly playing a more outward-facing role in sort of supporting the work of municipalities like the city of Kingston, especially in relation to the Climate Smart Communities program and specific CSC actions. So just a really brief overview of the project that I just, like I said, I'll walk you through the resources in a moment. This is the Ulster County Climate Adaptation Planning Project. This was a Climate Smart Communities program, a grant-funded project started a few years back, but we kind of deferred it for a little while until we had our ducks in a row with COVID and everything. And then we really kind of pivoted. The original focus of the project was going to be completing basically a county government climate vulnerability assessment and climate adaptation plan. Those are sort of parallel actions to greenhouse gas emissions inventories and climate action plans, right? They're sort of these foundational actions. They're weighted very heavily, priority actions in the Climate Smart Communities program. So, I even brought the printouts here of the Pledge Element 7 under Climate Smart Communities. Again, the goals of this were for the county to complete a climate vulnerability assessment and as well as a climate adaptation plan, and then also basically build a municipal resource toolkit to support municipalities to be able to do the same. So basically, climate vulnerability assessment entails first identifying the top climate hazards in your community, and then basically identifying systems and assets within those systems that you want to assess the vulnerability of against those climate hazards, and then moving into the climate adaptation planning action, where you're basically identifying priority actions to reduce the vulnerability, right, of those vulnerable systems and assets. So for example, a system might be transportation infrastructure. Assets within that system might be specific roads or culverts or bridges, right, that you might want to assess individually and say, is this in a floodplain? Is this in a sea level rise area? Is heat vulnerability, which actually for transportation infrastructure apparently it is an issue that can cause buckling of the roads, joints in the bridges and things like that, right? So that's really, it's kind of all encompassing. And I think that I haven't seen many good examples of municipalities region-wide really, and even in our county, completing these adaptation plans, with the vulnerability assessment as the first part, first step, because it's such a challenge. It's kind of infinite, right? But climate change and these climate hazards we're talking about, whether it's extreme heat, sea level rise, or extreme precipitation and flooding, more often and frequent and severe weather events, those things are all kind of infinite and all encompassing, and they're all going to get worse, right? So it's a huge challenge. And so I'm just going into this, sharing the information about this toolkit, acknowledging that and saying what we're trying to do is just basically provide a standardized set of resources, because we at the county have 24 municipalities in the county, right? So our government operations, sure, we have 12 to 1,300 staff, we have dozens of facilities, we have hundreds of electricity accounts and other things, right? And that's, we focus on some of that with our climate action plan. We focus on climate mitigation actions. And then this is again trying to focus on adaptation actions and expand it to local municipalities as well. Because again, there's a lot of municipalities, and for each municipality to try to pick up this huge and infinite task, I think is actually challenging. So basically, what came out of this was that as far as the outward facing part, the local municipal resources, we built a toolkit, and I'll actually pass this around. This is a flyer, and I assure you, I will send the toolkit on to Julie so that you have the link, the flyer. And then I will also send the link to this webinar. And so basically in the toolkit, you're going to see there's a lot here, and apologies for those that may be watching, because I'm only screen sharing the map. But like I said, if you Google Ulster County Department of the Environment, there is a climate adaptation planning tab on Ulster County Department of the Environment's webpage. There's a link on that tab that brings you right to all this. So it's very easily searchable and accessible online. So basically, what this is, it's basically a set of resources that a municipality, if they really want to do an overarching climate vulnerability assessment and climate adaptation plan, they can kind of pick up some of these resources and do a deep dive into it. And I'm not doing that tonight. I think the city of Kingston has done so much work. We've done variations or maybe kind of location or community specific climate adaptation, or at least climate vulnerability assessments, right? So I'm kind of setting that aside. I just want to let you know that you'll see at the bottom of this municipal toolkit flyer, there's a lot of resources. The climate hazard summary report, there's a climate data and resources summary report, there's kind of an instruction manual and all sorts of things that you can use if you want to plan on a community scale climate vulnerability assessment adaptation plan. But really what we're talking about here and what I'm going to show you is just this interactive web map, because any single person here, any business owner, any community organization can use this map and start to look at their own resources and some of the data layers. So I just think it's hugely valuable for that, setting aside like municipal level work and climate smart communities program actions. Okay, let's see how this goes. I am going to try to zoom in on this map. So I've never used this this little tablet before, so we'll see how the navigation goes. I think I'm going the wrong way here with the zooming. It goes the opposite way of my laptop. Oh, all right.
There's probably where Cal's head is on the top right, a zoom button. That's
Yeah,
probably
see,
blocking it.
Here we go. All right, we're back in Ulster County here. So I just want to point out in the top right, there's a little search function there, so you can put in an address. I'm going to put in the address of my office, Ulster County Department, 17 Pearl Street in Uptown Kingston. Hopefully Kingston, New York, and not Kingston, Jamaica will come up, which has come up before, but of course we don't have the map layers for that. So I encourage everyone to, once you
Hi,
find.
have you ever used pair of glasses?
Oh, wow.
So. Thank you.
No,
No?
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so this is basically you see my office here. And so like I said, the goal really is that anybody can use this, any member of the public. I encourage you all to go home and look up your house, look up that road that floods down the street from you, and start to like kind of parse through the layers and see what you can discover. So as far as the climate hazards layers, we have 3 layers, although there's more climate hazards, not all of them are kind of geospatially linked, right? Like extreme weather events, sure, you can map where things have happened, but you can't necessarily say, well, where's the wind going to be, in the next land-in, or where's the ice going to be in the next, winter storm, things like that. So this layer basically is just has like Ulster County summary data. And so when you click on it, it turned blue because it's all of Ulster County. There's pop-ups for each layer. And so this layer is basically saying, okay, it's associated with this set of resources published by the White House, actually. But it's kind of a reminder saying, okay, the number of days over 90 degrees Fahrenheit used to be only 4.9 days a year, hit 90 degrees. We've probably had more days than that already this year. We're pretty close, right? But the mid-century projections are something like 18 days a year over that are going to hit 90. And then by late century, it could be something as many as 50 days a year hit 90 degrees. So this layer is a little bit more informational, just saying, okay, we're acknowledging that heat is going to get a lot worse, extreme heat days. We have the flood hazard layer. So this one is basically it's the same one you'll see in the county parcel viewer. And this is showing you, see it in the top right of the screen here, you can see the 100-year floodplain is the blue, and then the orange is the 500-year floodplain. So that's the floods, the really bad floods that are going to happen less frequently, but the 100-year are again projected to happen something like at least twice as often. So you can call it the 1 in 50 year, essentially, or it could be even worse. I mean, obviously, climate change projections have a huge range, right, depending on the mission scenarios. And so again, you start to go through the pop-ups, and there's links to other resources. But again, just viewing the layers, I think, is immensely valuable in itself. And then I'm going to go to sea level rise. You're not going to see much here because this is inland, of course. But for example, I've done it for like down by Old Savannah, East Strand, and when you put on the sea level rise layer or the flood layers, you start to see that those lower roads start to be potentially inundated in the 6-foot sea level rise scenario. And so I'm trying to zoom out here. Hopefully I'm operating this thing correctly.
There you go.
Yes. Okay, so the purple is the sea level rise area. And so this is kind of, and the other thing that's really, I would say, innovative and that we're really excited about this map is it's the first time that a lot of these data sets are in one place. You know, there's a sea level rise mapper, there's the flood map, FEMA flood mappers, there's, you know what I mean, there's all different sorts of mappers, but this is kind of county hosted data. We're keeping it all in one place. In every place where it's available, it's actually dynamic data, so it's linking directly to the state data in a lot of cases or other data sources. Some of the layers are layers we're hosting. And I'll be quick, I'll wrap it up in a couple of
Oh, no, you're
minutes.
fine.
Yeah, just because I know that our meeting started late tonight. So again, this one you can see, right, I'm clicking on the purple, which is the sea level rise area. Should be a pop-up. Here we go. And this is saying basically, this is the 6-foot scenario. So in the worst case scenario for sea level rise is 6 feet. Realistically, I don't know if we'll all be around when that happens or not, but some version, you know, sea level rise is already happening. We're already seeing that with every high tide, just getting just that little bit higher, right? And then storm surge and other things as well. Now, the second section, I think this, again, is another kind of really dynamic and unique part of this map, because this is basically pulling in some of the county hosted data sets that, again, were not available anywhere else before. So we did the planning department actually facilitated a critical facilities vulnerability assessment, transportation infrastructure, that is. And so here I turned on the wrong layer, that's why. Just scroll down to the transportation infrastructure vulnerability assessment. So this is kind of neat because, again, you'll start to see the layers, the criticality of different pieces of transportation infrastructure around you. So you might see a road or a bridge or a culvert, and see the red here means they're highly critical. They're very important, right? The yellow is medium, and then, you know, the rest is gray, which is low. But you start to say, okay, here's some critical pieces of infrastructure in our community. I'm going to turn on the layer that's critical facilities. Again, this is connecting to some of the, you know, it's basically pulling together a lot of data sets, basically saying libraries, town halls, hospitals, exactly, you know, wastewater treatment plants and permitted outfalls. As you can see on the right here, you know, the symbology is showing you all the different critical facilities. So you start to see the overlays here, right? We have our critical facilities, we have our critical transportation infrastructure and it's stored. I'm going to turn those two layers off. The last thing I'll just say about that is, so then you can go back and turn on your flood hazard, your sea level rise layers, right? And zoom into specific pieces of infrastructure, specific facilities, see if they're in flood zones, right? See if they're in sea level rise areas, and just start to see, you know, maybe that very vulnerable bridge is on a very critical road next to a critical hospital, or a, you know, a town hall that's also a designated emergency shelter, things like that. So you can start to see, I think, the spatial relationship between some of these things. Again, that's not possible in any other place that I know about. And then this layer, for those of you that do municipal work, I hope you appreciate this. We're very excited about this. This layer represents road stream crossing assessments that have been done countywide. Road stream crossings are generally culverts and bridges. And basically all different municipalities over the years have done different versions of assessments. And basically the standard protocol is called the NAC assessment, which is North Atlantic Aquatic Connectivity Protocol. But basically it's where technicians or trained folks go out in the field with GPS units, right, mobile units, and they basically take the point of where that culvert or bridge is, and then they just follow the protocol to say, okay, is this passable for aquatic organisms? Is the big focus obviously for NAC because it's the aquatic connectivity protocol. But then there's some other things like structural condition. They take pictures of the culvert, and then again, it can help prioritize culverts, especially for replacement. And having these assessment done can be really important because a lot of the state grants, you actually have to have these NAC assessments done in order to apply for state funding. So again, I think for a municipal committee like this, it's important to know this resource exists. And also, I want to just give my colleagues a big shout out because no one else has this. Basically, where this links directly to the NAC database. So that's a separate mapper. You know how I mentioned sea level rise and all these other mappers. Well, each one of these points, if you click on the point, sorry I keep zooming here, but I just want you to see things at different scales. So I clicked on a point, that's a culvert in the town of Rochester, right? And then you can click on this link and it brings you right to the NAC database. Oh, well, it's not working right now. I assure you it usually works though. You know, I was so dramatic, I built it all up and then, you know.
It's always the one
Like,
point
this is
you choose
amazing.
that doesn't- That's mapping for you.
But again, this is a really unique and dynamic resource that we're really excited about because basically we at the county, with a lot of the projects we're working on at Department of the Environment and Planning and other departments, we have the ability to host data. We have ArcGIS online licenses and, ESR, RI Esri licenses for GIS. And so I think that we have this unique capability to host data and to kind of bring it all into one place. Because again, your city of Kingston, although very important, is only one of 24 municipalities in the county. And so this is an example of, wow, well, these are assessments that have been done by different people in different years by different grant funded projects. And we're able to bring it all into one place. And if you hired, field technicians, or if this commission decided to go and do, update your assessments and put it in the NAC database, it would appear in this map, because it's a dynamic data source that links directly to NAC. So that's what's really neat as well, is that this is an example of a layer is constantly updated. Basically, it does a daily download once a day from NAC.
Wow.
So that's pretty neat. And then I just wanted to quickly mention a couple other layers, and then I'll leave everyone to explore it on your own and invite me to a future meeting when you have more questions about it. And then the last thing here is, this is just a layer that shows points that are hazard mitigation plan actions. And I just wanted to show this to give a plug for the county is currently facilitating the 5-year update to the hazard mitigation plan. It's called, the full name is the Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. Basically, it's a FEMA funded and FEMA approved plan ultimately, and it's led by our Department of Emergency Services, but it's a hugely important project. It's essentially a vulnerability assessment actually, because it assesses critical infrastructure, critical facilities in each municipality in the county that participates, as well as county facilities for our entire, countywide. And it basically gives them access to grant funding, FEMA and other grant funding. So I know you know all about that, and we're in the middle of that update now. So for example, this layer in the future will have points for the next set of updated priority actions. I just want to scroll really quickly over to, well, nothing is quick here. I wanted to see if we could see any Kingston actions.
Just as a reference, I'm coordinating the city's involvement on that update to the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan.
That's great, yeah, and we're working with the consultant Tetra Tech, so they're actually gonna have a separate mapping portal for that, but again, we're gonna be able to link to that through this set of resources. I was trying to get you to City of Kingston because I wanted to see if there was any actions. So basically, this is a 5-year-old data set, but we're gonna have a new one soon. And what's again really neat to me is that, and I think to any user, is that what you can do again is start to overlay, right? So hypothetically, say there was a road that flooded outside your house. And you could, again, turn on the transportation vulnerability assessment layer and say, oh, this is a critical road or culvert. This was already assessed. This is also a priority hazard mitigation plan action, and you start to, again, kind of connect the dots between, I think, seeing what your municipality is doing and just seeing your own community's potential vulnerabilities, as even at the property level, it can work. So just wanted to show you that. And then there's all sorts of other layers that you will be able to explore on your own. And the last thing I'll say is that we have land cover, we have the, MS4, right, the stormwater areas. We have all, county agricultural districts, Central Hudson hosting capacity layers. I mean, it's all in there. And basically, I mentioned in the beginning, we're working on a natural resources inventory, which is kind of a parallel project to this, in that it's going to be a countywide natural resources inventory, cloud-based. It's going to basically be a mapping portal, again, for a set of resources that municipalities can use, because not every municipality has completed a natural resources inventory. Not every municipality knows what's happening just over their own municipal borders. And so we see a lot of value in doing these projects at county scale. So I'll just end there because I could just talk all day about this, but I know you have a rest of a meeting to go to. So I'm going to slink away unless there's any urgent questions. And then, like I said, I'll follow up with sending Julie these resources to share.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Europa?
I know I covered a lot there. Thank you for your attentive,
Yeah, thank you.
being an attentive audience.
Clearly a lot of work and a great resource.
Yes, and we hope you find it useful.
Thank you, Europa.
Of course. All right, it was good to see you.
Yes, you too. Thank you, everyone. See you soon, I
See
hope.
you soon. All right, so, Vicki, you said you have to bust out at 6:30? 7, okay. All right, so let's keep plugging through then. Refrigerants, I don't actually have an update on refrigerants, I'm still not in contract yet, I did get the grant, as I mentioned. But I don't have any update because I'm not in contract yet, and so I don't have anything to move forward with that. Besides the fact that we will be collecting refrigerant containing appliances at the Earth Fair. So anyone who has refrigerators, freezers, dehumidifiers, and air conditioners who would normally have to pay to dispose of them in the city of Kingston can bring them for free to the Earth Fair, and those fees will be waived. And so that is, because we got, since we got this grant, we're able to do that. And so last year we were able to bring in 12 units, hopefully we'll get that many or more this year. So if you know anyone that needs to dispose of that kind of thing, have them bring it to the Earth Fair. And right at the bottom of Broadway, we will be collecting those. Yes. Repair Cafe,
Okay, so the last cafe was April 8th. It was 9:30 to 1:30 new time at the library. I don't know if I had that info last meeting, but I didn't realize I booked a cafe during Easter weekend and the churches were not available. So the library hosted us. We're never doing it there again. They basically said it's, I don't know if we should put this on record, but
we're on record. Live streaming.
okay, the library doesn't want us to have it there anymore, but they took us in for this one weekend, I will say. It wasn't that well attended. It was only 15 people, which usually you get like 30 and up. So, and
Going upstairs with stuff.
oh yeah, I mean,
That was an.
oh, I put elevator, did I put elevator on flyer?
I was just there for something else.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna bring a lamp and I was like, no, or a bicycle, I'm not. bringing
Yes,
that.
I did, well, we had the bikes in the parking lot, the repairs for bikes were in the parking lot, and the welding is in the parking lot, but yes, it was in their community room on the second level, which was in the room. Yes, and it was Easter weekend too. Thank you for, yeah. No, it's Kingston Repair Cafe at the library. So yeah, just, we're not gonna have it there again, but, the next one's gonna be June 17th at Redeemer Lutheran. No, sorry, Clinton United Methodist. We're hopping up, we're church hopping right now. So, Clinton United Methodist wanted us back, so we're gonna do that. It's also the 10th anniversary of Repair Cafe, in the Hudson Valley, so we're hoping to have a big after party situation with coaches from all over the Hudson Valley. And now, because the construction looks like it's gonna be pushed off, we're thinking of Forsyth Park, which I saw a Facebook post about, that the construction's pushed off. But yeah, they were looking at Forsyth Park because John loved Forsyth Park. And also Repair Cafe was on the Today Show last Friday. Coverage was really great. It was for their like Earth Day segment. There's a little clip about it. It actually the traffic broke the repair site for a couple hours, which was good. So a lot of people are looking into repair cafes now. But Melissa Everett at Sustainable Hudson Valley did want me to note that even though the traffic is bringing people aware of Repair Cafe, Susie Frommer, the coordinator role, is still they don't have enough funding to keep her on. So there's a big fundraiser to help her role and help her into next year keep doing what she's doing to help tie in all of the Hudson Valley cafes.
Yeah, I watched the clip, it was
Oh,
awesome.
you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
It's funny because Hoda Copy she does part of the interview or the thing. And they have a bike that gets repaired and she gets on it to ride off and she's wearing heels like this.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, what are you doing? You can't do that on a bike. Obviously it's
Yeah.
for show, but. It's funny.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny. But yeah, so I don't know where there's different fundraisers. Some cafes are like taking their tips they get for that day and donating them to Susie. But there also are GoFundMe's, so I can circulate that if people want.
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay.
Excellent.
That's it for Repair Cafe for now.
Thank you. All right, Earth Fair, outreach and education, youth engagement, Earth Fair. It is coming along so great. There's so much coming together. Ellie and Casey and I and a huge team are working extremely hard on this Earth Fair. It is the 13th. If you have places where you can put posters, please let me know, but don't just take one and say, I'm gonna put it somewhere. I need to know where it's going so that we don't send other people to the same place. And this is what I have left for the palm cards. You can see all the musical entertainment that Clearwater is able to book, which is unbelievable. They're rocking it, and all of our sponsors, and they still keep coming in, which is fantastic. We met down there today, Ellie and Casey and I, to talk about the layout, and where everyone's going to fit. We got all the food set up. We confirmed the e-bike test rides. We're going to be doing a bike rodeo. We're gonna have electric vehicles, including the first e-passenger van in the US. We are going to be having a number of other different electric vehicles. The UCAT is gonna be providing transportation from Kingston Point, which is excellent. And we have a solar powered merry-go-round. Clearwater's giving boat tours for free, Solaris boat rides for free. It's gonna be incredible, and I hope it does not rain, because if it does, we're canceling. So, that all being said, we are doing it as a zero waste event, and I don't have enough volunteers yet to cover all the stations. So if anyone is able to volunteer for any amount of time during the day, we are doing zero waste stations, where there's gonna be 7 different locations around the parcel with a tent and a sign that says zero waste station, and it's going to have a compost container, trash container, and recycling container. And the best practice for most effective diversion of waste at events is somebody physically standing there. So I need people to physically stand at these waste stations and tell people that goes in there, that goes in there, that goes in there. And there will be training in the morning, or whenever. The shifts are from 9:30 to 1:30 and from 1:15 to 5:15. They're 4-hour shifts, and it includes a free lunch, a $10 food voucher to any of our food vendors, and then any of the food vendors downtown that commit to doing that as well. So if there's anyone here that is able to volunteer, or even if you don't want to do that, I also need people to run the Jack and Jane floats booth. I need people to run the info booths for, which is where the climate smart stuff is going to be. So that's going to be where the water bottles are handed out. And I need people at the.
Oh, the water bottles are hanging on Climate Smart, not the info people?
It's all going to be in the same place, I think.
Oh,
And I need people to man the exchange store. So is there anyone who is here that already thinks that they told me that they're going to be volunteering that day, that I maybe don't know that you're volunteering?
Well, my wife and I, we can volunteer.
But
Okay.
when is the date? What date?
May 13th, Saturday, May 13th, from 10 to 5.
May 13th, no. We're going to meet just for the birthday.
The 13th?
No, but we will go, yeah, the 13th is the birthday.
Okay. Are you gonna be there?
I'm gonna be there.
What do you
I
want to
just
do?
left myself, I don't know where you want to put me.
How do you feel about doing the exchange store?
I can do it.
Okay. Anyone else able to be there?
I did sign up. Did
Yeah.
complete the form.
I have some people on the sign up form. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
you're on
Oh, great.
the sign-up form.
Okay, so then should I just check in with you, plug in people where they should go?
Yeah, I have people's contact.
Okay.
The Google Forms.
Oh, perfect.
And did you notice if any of our students in
Oh,
Possibly.
I think I was checking. Okay, cool.
Possibly.
Okay, cool.
No. Anyone like throw the whole meeting? That's very good. Okay, so anyone else, who wants to volunteer? Again, we need volunteers for the root beer floats, children's activities. I need somebody who wants to be a parking bouncer at the end of Dock Street, because I'm closing Dock Street and people that are vendors are going to get access only by being on the list and are gonna come backwards in Dock Street. So I need somebody to sit there with a list and be a bouncer.
Only until 9:45. Then I have to find parking. That's what I told them.
Okay. I need people to collect e-waste and appliances, lots of things I need help with. So reach out to Ellie if you can volunteer at all anyway.
I reached out to the teacher that helped last year, but she hasn't gotten back to me.
Oh, yeah,
I forwarded her the form and I said, do you want to be at the kids station again, or do you want general responsibility?
Yes.
And she has, I have to pay her again.
she
She brought like 2 or 3 high schoolers.
Is it Sarah?
Sophia Saigon.
Sophia Saigon, yes. Hey, buddy.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the UCAT bus is going between downtown and Kingston Point?
Yes.
Is it gonna be also a way to commute to it? Because that seems like that's to alleviate parking, right?
Yes.
Is it, are they gonna go like uptown and downtown too?
Not right now, that's all we've done.
Not currently.
Is there any way to persuade you to get them to actually let people come to the fair without a car? Because they always, with all the events, UCAT just defaults into alleviating parking. But they never serve on events recently as a way to get people to leave their car at home.
I mean, yeah, I mean, see how that would work. I could have them do a loop of Broadway.
Or just up and down Broadway, yeah.
Up and down Broadway, go to the point, come to the Gallo. Up and down Broadway, go to the point, come back to Gallo.
Yeah, I mean, if they'll do it, we'd have to talk to them. I mean, yeah, I think it would be great.
Yes, and then we have to promote it.
Yeah.
They can put it on their Facebook page. They actually, on their website, which they don't take enough use of, they've got now a new reel on the top of their actual website. That they could put that on there, say.
Yeah. I don't know if they would care where we set camps in there.
I don't know, I think it's a good idea, we just have to, you know, wanna speak to them.
Okay,
but
yeah,
not really-
absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion. We will absolutely ask them.
And that would be less pollution.
And that would be less pollution, especially if they use the electric bus.
That's right.
Which we have requested. Let's see, what else? Oh, we also need volunteers for the bike rodeo. So the bike rodeo is going to be 6 stations. And it's being organized by New York, or 511 New York Rideshare. But we need volunteers to be at the different stations, which are like helmet fitting, you know, I don't know what all the 6 of them are.
Would be a good spot for you, if you wanna do bike interview.
I would love to, but I'm gonna do the weigh station with students on reading.
Do you
Oh,
want me to email Tom Polk and see if he can get an email?
Yes, that would be great.
You have a list also, right, of people who signed up for Climate Smart and wanted to be involved?
Yeah, if you,
Oh, you mean my distribution list that I emailed to people? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And what else did I want to talk about with Earth Fair?
I have 2 things for the fair.
Okay,
Just wanted to make sure that the website's being updated for the magnets. I know we mentioned that like 2 or 3
Oh,
months
that's
ago.
that's me.
I'm just
Yeah.
putting it down.
Definitely has not been. Good call.
And then for the kids' activity station, do we have a list of what we're doing? Because I know last year we did like planters with those milkweed seeds, I think, that you provided, and then we had to get the soil and do that all in advance. So I don't know if we want to do those again.
So CAC is doing seed giveaways, pollinator stuff. But we could do plantings. Okay, let me get back to the beginning of your question. Casey is organizing some kids activity stuff, but right now, unless we don't have enough volunteers, it's going to be all
Oh,
done.
that was like the most popular thing
I know,
last year.
but unless I have people to actually be there to do it,
Could I run that instead of the e-waste?
whatever you want,
Well, and also, I mean, I'm happy to volunteer, but I know we also have our NYCP too.
Yeah, which I was
So,
gonna talk to you about tomorrow.
Yeah, so,
um,
but I think if we put it out to that distribution list.
yes,
And we could also potentially recruit maybe some volunteers through our email blast, maybe, Melissa, we did an email blast to.
Okay.
Kingston.
yeah, and do you have the digital version of this that you can post on your,
Yeah.
e-newsletters? Yes.
Can I have a copy?
Of,
The virtual copy?
Actually, no, Cicely will send me out. The virtual copy.
I don't know, do you know if Cicely, if you gave one to Cicely this? You have the virtual. or-
Cicely came in the other day for something.
No, but I mean like the digital version of this?
Oh, the digital version? I mean, I could circulate it to everybody
Yes.
if you want me to, yeah.
Yeah, put it in whatever you have.
Okay.
So Melissa, so then you should connect directly with Casey.
Okay.
Because right now, we're just talking about like putting out hula hoops and like like a
No.
Connect Four.
No.
But if I don't have people,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, whatever we did last year would be fantastic to replicate, but like, A, I don't remember what we did last year, and
We had a
two,
whole like sorting competition
yes,
with recycling bins.
right,
We had very tailored, like, this is green
Yes.
stuff.
yes.
Plantings, and the teacher came and she educated the students about, soil and
Okay,
species.
yes, if you could coordinate with Casey and make that happen, that would be amazingly amazing.
Did the Kingston Kids event ever come to fruition?
Yes, it's happening the week after ours. It is my understanding, it is a scaled down version happening at the Maritime Museum only.
Too bad they didn't just partner with us.
That opportunity was provided, was thought. What else needs to be discussed with the Earth Fair? I don't know if there's anything else that I can think of right now. If you know any vendors, volunteers, or anyone else that wants to be involved in any way whatsoever, please connect them to us.
We are nearing capacity of vendors.
We're nearing capacity, but I would love to have to say,
Okay, all right,
let's find more space, because
Okay.
people always bail.
all right.
I've already had 2 people bail this week. People
Okay.
always bail, and then other people just don't show. So I would rather just have
Squeeze
yes
them in.
enough people.
I also just want to shout out Cal, because after they sent that list of the contractors.
Yeah,
We got like 3 of them.
Yes.
Donated $1,000.
yes,
Like that.
fantastic, really, really
Cal
good.
came through,
Thank you,
Karen came through, everyone was in that thread.
Yes, I will say, we went from like, we're never gonna have enough money to do anything, to we are spending, let's just say, easily, our budget is 5 times more than it is in a normal year. That being said, we also, Clearwater alone and Radio Kingston and Eighth Step have easily doubled what our normal budget is, and with the ARPA, so we got $5,000 to do ARPA, so that money is being spent on this as well. And with that, we're actually using it for longer term investments, like easy up tents and other things that we can use year after year, so I don't have to borrow them from other people. But it'll be interesting to see, this is as a like just comparing year after year, this is our 10th one, it is exponentially more work to be doing it where we're doing it. Which makes me really upset because Dean Stadium is not under construction, but there's still so much I can do about that, so we committed, we had to commit to it.
Maybe it'll be amazing and we'll
and
do it there
maybe
every year.
Right, and that's
That's that first year, so of course it's hard.
Yep, so there's just a lot of coordination to do it in, we're doing it in a kind of, in a self-contained park, and now you're doing it in a downtown zone. It's just, very different. Either way, thank you so much to everyone who has helped participate. We are like 3 weeks out, we're gonna rock it till then, and we're not gonna look at the weather until the Thursday before, and at noon on the Thursday before, we're gonna make a decision, and we are deciding it's not rain or shine, it is rain or stay home and sleep.
So is there like a volunteer like sign up or something that we could circulate?
Ellie has something.
I have a Google form. I'll send everybody the Google form and the digital version of this after the meeting.
Can I have another poster? I'm going to the Kingston VFW.
Oh, nice.
You get around.
There's a honky tonk.
What?
Yeah. And secret, this can be a public record. Today was supposed to be the last one, but it's being extended through May. So
Oh,
Wednesday is the.
fun.
It is fun. It's a scene too.
Oh.
Can I have placards too?
Yes.
Or as many as you give me, I'll just
I'll give you
leave
that.
them around like that.
So did you just say that it's, going to be canceled if it rains?
Yep.
How much rain, like what defines rain?
Well, this is, I'm not going to state what that means. Because I don't want anyone to make their own decision on whether it's canceled or not. The team of Clearwater, the city, mostly probably Parks, the Parks Director and the mayor, and some combination of my short internal team and Clearwater, who's managing all of these people, are going to make the decision by noon on Thursday. But I would say it's probably going to have to be like either an absolute deluge or a hurricane. But I don't know.
It's gonna be beautiful.
And and frankly, there's nothing I can do about it, right? I'm not gonna change the weather, so I'm not gonna think about it until right before. So.
Wonder when I was doing it back then, I don't remember that it was raining all morning and then it started, 2 hours late, and it actually worked.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
disgusted.
Yeah, we did talk about having a rain date, but there's so much involved right now to have everyone have to commit to 2 days, it's just too much. So, and the next day is Mother's Day, so. So, it is what it is.
Tom Chapin, that's pretty exciting. That
I
he's
know.
like the best kids performer ever.
No,
What's the status of the lawn signs?
the entertainment is amazing. Long time out.
Oh,
I've
they're
got
out.
about 3 or 4 in my trunk that still need to go out, but
Still need to go out as in you need places for them, or you?
no, I think two of them. One is for Hutton Park. I don't know, I have to look at those.
Okay, but you don't have extras that you need to put
I
out.
do not have, I might have one extra,
Okay,
but beyond that one extra.
Yeah. yeah, and kudos, thank you so much to everyone who helped to pull all of this part together, just this beautifulness of these things came together. Absolutely.
Steve told me there are typos on it, and he asked me if we were gonna reprint, and I was like, no, we're not.
Where are the
I don't
tables?
see it.
He
You don't need
said,
to know.
the Tanzania person,
The first person's
the
name
first
is
person is not,
Oh,
silly.
yeah, it's silly.
it's spelled wrong, and then
Melissa.
there's one act that I think canceled,
Oh,
or
really?
they couldn't reach a negotiation in their thing.
Yeah, the problem is when you have to produce these well in advance
Yeah.
and it's like sponsors that got their name in after the fact or like acts that committed or didn't, I mean,
Yeah.
at some point you just have to go with it.
Yeah.
So that is what it is.
I have other educational lists for you.
Great, go on.
Ulster County Climate Corps, 2023 internship program, it's 17 an hour. This is just thank the flyer for it. I ran into Michael Darcy at, the the New Paul's Earth
Oh,
Fair,
yeah.
on Saturday. He gave me this.
Oh, nice.
and I'll just circulate it. If you want to take a picture, youth that wants to work on climate
Bravo.
with the county. Yeah. I would also attended, the Hudson Valley Climate Action Network's annual mixer. And they had a presentation about climate smart community grants. So I have this for us. I don't know what to do with it, but I brought it. It's available grants for climate smart communities
We do
that
apply.
you apply. I figured you applied to them already, but I just took the.
Every project you ever hear me talk about has been funded by some grant.
Okay, great.
Well,
There's that.
excellent. All right, anything else on outreach, education, youth engagement, or the Earth Fair?
No, right now.
Thanks everyone for keeping up, keeping up until we're there. All right, clean electricity, 100% renewable electricity in our buildings. Still not in contract yet with NYSERDA for the carbon neutrality grant. It's taking NYSERDA longer than I want them to take them, but still gonna move forward either way, doesn't really matter. And so that's where that is. And CCA is still moving forward, but we are advocating, we're part of the Opt-out CDG Coalition. Opt-out CDG is community distributed generation, or mostly what you consider community solar. A big advantage would be this opt-out version of this, which would mean that everyone would automatically be entered into community solar, everyone would get a discount, everyone would automatically get renewable energy. And we would have this ability to do this for all of our low income customers as well. However, the Public Service Commission is not advancing this yet, but there's a very large coalition that's advocating for it, including us. Either way, right now for CCA, we have submitted our master documentation to the Public Service Commission for approvals and are awaiting approvals. And in the meantime, are pulling together documentation and everything else that is needed to continue to move forward even without opt-out CDG, and just what needs to happen next, which would be starting to pursue bulk purchasing of renewable power, solar power.
Great.
So it is moving ahead. No one has seen any difference in their bills yet or any option to opt in or opt out, but it is, be aware that it is moving along. Education and workforce opportunities and great jobs, does anyone have anything on that in particular to report on?
Well, there is the CLP, Citizens for Local Power, has a green jobs paid internship that people are, I'm just looking at my email because we just sent out a blast about it today. And so that's a good thing for people to apply for. It's a 6-week paid green jobs training, mentoring, hands-on experience. Applications are open now. They're also hiring a training support coordinator. So I don't know if anybody's not on the New Yorkers for Clean Power mailing list. We should get on it because we just sent out a blast today that included that listing, as well as the climate core that the county's sponsoring, and launch a new green jobs map that our wonderful Clean Power fellow, who's a SUNY New Paltz student, just revamped for us, and it's really terrific. I can email this blast that went out today to everybody. And we also have an event on Friday at SUNY Sullivan, which I know is a little bit of a schlep from here. It's not too far, it's gonna be an hour and 20 minutes, but we're having Clean Energy Careers Summit that Cal has really been doing a lot of the heavy lifting, organizing, with Melissa and I as sort of a supporting cast. And it's gonna be a forum for Earth Day for students, have a job fair, have a kind of stakeholder summit for folks who are in the workforce development world, and basically strategizing about how we can scale up clean energy careers pathways programs. And we also have had meetings with Ulster County about doing a similar event here. So some things are happening. I can forward all of that to the list.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I can add that the Ulster County conversations should be further along by the May Climate Smart meeting.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else have other things on education or workforce opportunities or green jobs?
Oh, and the Ulster County Climate Smart meeting on Monday had a really great discussion about potentially launching a Climate Smart Schools program, highlighting that in Ulster County. And we put forward a motion to include in next year's Ulster County budget a line item to support a coordinator for a Climate Smart Schools program.
Oh. That's good. We'll see, hopefully.
Eric Stewart, who's a Ulster County legislator from Stone Ridge, is very passionate about this and came up with that idea.
That was great.
That would be public school?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Excellent. All right. So moving on to sustainable mobility and land use. Any updates on our city fleet, Ellie?
No updates, we're continuing along with, if it's an absolute necessity, we will procure an electric vehicle. If it's not an absolute necessity, we are waiting until an opportunity arises to purchase something that is plug-in or hybrid. No other updates.
I will say, I got word today that Chevy has decided to discontinue creating the Bolt.
Yeah, I saw that.
What the heck?
Yeah, seriously.
Does that mean they won't have the EUV either?
Correct.
That's stupid.
As a Bolt owner and as a previous Volt owner, who now neither of which will
That's
exist,
terrible.
and I have a Bolt EUV on order, which now will be like a relic of the past. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know either. And I just went to the International Auto Show down in New York last weekend, and they had them all there. So I was like,
It's so
what
weird.
are they doing? Oh, Cal.
No, just that my house is in the middle of trying to buy a Bolt, so we're all pretty frustrated by this news. Apparently it's because they want to shift to making huge electric trucks, which is a really bad climate move. So everybody shame your local Chevy dealer, I guess.
I think we're past that. I think that ship has sailed, but either way, which has nothing to do with our city fleet, except for the fact that do we have any Bolts or Volts?
We have Volts.
Volts.
We have 2 Volts. One of them is kind of been sitting in the shop for a month or two, so
Right.
we have 1 active Volt.
Yes. Either way, so that's where we are with the fleet. EV infrastructure. Guess what I found out? It's just in. For all of you EV drivers who have been waiting and complaining about level 2 charging stations, we're getting level 3 charging stations. We ran for $268,000 to put in 2, and they're going to be going downtown.
Ooh, that's so awesome.
Yes.
Yay.
So, just got the award, 2 level 3 chargers downtown. They're going to be at the visitor center lot. And it's probably not going to be this year unless I can work very closely with Central Hudson, but it's, for anyone who's familiar with the difference between a level 2 and a level 3 charging station, it is an extreme difference in the amount of electricity that is needed. And so the fact that I'm putting 2 is going to be a little bit of a shocker in our system. So either way, I seemingly got plenty of money to do it, and I'm super excited. And so
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
the press release will probably come out tomorrow. It hasn't come out already, so. And that being said, the Prince Street lot is still not online yet. You could park there in the spot and you could look at it, but it is not connected to Central Hudson yet. We are waiting on them. And the rest of my locations, which are Forsyth Park, Block Park, North Front Street, lots, and another one, building safety, have been ordered. So they are arriving on Friday, and then they will be installed over the course of this year. So lots happening with EV infrastructure. And the level 3s will be a game changer for us. I will also note that there is federal funding available. It's called like the CFI, which is this very, very bulky grant award opportunities for like a minimum $500,000 and max of like multi-million dollars to put in charging stations. But we are not choosing to pursue that right now. I need to work through what we have right now and get all this stuff in place. And I also feel like federal grants are extremely competitive, and I don't know that I can compete right now, and I just have a million things going on. So it's really a capacity issue, so we will not be applying for that CFI grant, unfortunately. All right, zoning, any update on zoning?
Tanya, which maybe you have something more recent than I do.
Okay, parking. Parking in the zoning code. So unfortunately, the Ulster County Planning Board has not, gotten the memo that parking, on-site parking requirements do not alleviate parking issues and only cause more people to be forced to drive because of sprawl. So the Ulster County Planning Board recommended that we do not eliminate our on-site parking requirements. And then the City of Kingston Planning Board who is mostly people who've been there for a long time, who have been interpreting our old crappy zoning code, also did not really get the memo either. Worth noting, none of them showed up to any of the year and a half engagement opportunities, so they were just facing this and reacting viscerally. So this zoning code has a really great aspect, many aspects that are really great. One of them is getting rid of our on-site parking requirements in all of the transects. So there would still be some on-site parking requirements in the super auto-centric areas like Kingston Plaza, Golden Hill, Corporate Drive. Now the Common Council is gonna need a supermajority vote to pass the zoning code as is. There was a lot of silliness from both planning boards in terms of their input. So the Director of Housing Initiatives, who's the point person for the zoning code, is going point by point for the comment and made some recommendations, some compromises, some things said, let's not even entertain this idea. So the Common Council members are going to go through each of these aspects of possible revisions to the final draft, point by point, and vote on them. There are, so if you want to support getting rid of our on-site parking requirements, call your Common Council member, but also there's about 10 of us who have been talking about this and really concerned about this, and we are trying to engage the Common Council members on looking at parking management instead. That is something that can alleviate parking issues. So you like charge the right price for the parking, don't charge for parking in the morning in front of a restaurant, but maybe you start charging in the evening. Signage, a better parking page on the city website that gives more information of where the parking lots are. So really managing parking, which is something that is proven to open up parking and get rid of this on-site parking requirements, which does not help the issue. So that's the big thing that I've been watching with the zoning code. Yeah. With about 9 other people.
Thank you. Kevin, did you have anything on that?
Yeah, well, it's a different topic on it. It had to do with affordable housing and expediting permits, which is something I think Bartap is discussing. I didn't catch that. I don't know if you were on that the other night. I missed it.
The laws and rules?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that laws and rules meetings, by the way, super interesting. Way too long, 3.5-hour meeting, but if you look at the agenda, there's all sorts of things. The bicycle stuff wasn't on there, the aspects of the zoning code, there's some other things that are definitely climate related to.
Watershed Bill of Rights?
Yes. Yep. So that's on the City of Kingston's YouTube channel if you wanna, you go to agendas and minutes to get the agenda, and you can, to inform you of how to fast forward appropriately. They did a little bit of mixing it up there. Yeah. There's visuals so you can get used. Watch what part you want.
Is there any action right now that the plans are should be taken for zoning covenant?
Well, the only thing, well, not with the zoning itself, no, because unless we want to comment to the council on anything that Tanya was just bringing up.
There's a ton of articles out there now too. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and others have a lot of articles about how the abolition of parking management is a smarter way to manage the issue of cars.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this is something to post on the Kingston Facebook page.
The climate smart Kingston.
Climate smart.
Yeah, there's a few articles you can share. I got shared links.
I believe NOCDO is also asking that we no longer require, right? That's a big push. It's a really big push to, in terms of housing, in terms of shared space, in terms of safety even, more parking usually means more empty space. People can go too fast and wasted space.
Longer walks.
Yeah. So there's a big, on many fronts, there's a big push to really get rid of, it doesn't mean getting rid of parking, obviously, there's always going to be parking, we've always created parking. But it's getting rid of those minimums that really just create parking lots that, where think the zoning code is actually trying to get rid of that to begin with, so why leave it in?
And the climate action plan, or climate, it's called the climate, that talks about parking. It talks about, what do they call those, sensors to, for, I have notes on that. But anyway, Michael Kondransky, he works for Saris right now. He's the Clean Transportation Director for Saris, and before that, he worked for ITE. And he came and talked at very briefly, it was a 3.5-hour meeting, and he was last on it, and he gave a little, you have to really talk about why it's really important for Kingston, for even beyond economic economic equity and development and all sorts of things. What was my point with talking about Michael Kondransky?
Well, if you listen to the last 10 minutes or so of that meeting, you can hear Michael Kondransky really break down and really, I was very impressed because it wasn't very long. He held himself together, and he really just gave some just as we were saying, where are we getting this information from? He definitely broke it out.
And the reference to climate smart is in the thing that we submitted as a communication. So it's in the agenda packet with links there to source information, and we reference the climate action plan.
How about the impervious surfaces? Did that come up?
No, because it wasn't an issue with the feedback, and we were addressing how to protect what the zoning code proposes and not tinker with it based on visceral reactions.
Yeah, one of the things I did, I was looking at the natural resource inventory shape files, and I was able to actually open them up in QGIS. I could have made my own impervious surfaces map. Yeah, first on a level, you actually get it to work.
Nice. All right, so as for this, this commission, the action you think that we should be taking?
Going forward, I think with the solar thing that we discussed previously, but I think with Earth Fair and all this other stuff,
Was
that's
I
gonna be a
supposed to
standalone.
present? I'm so confused about who I was presenting to. Was it the zoning board?
Planning board, but I haven't made that.
Planning board. Thomas is moving to Virginia now, so he
Oh.
won't be presenting with me, but.
That's what Zoom is for.
True.
That might be an initiative we might want to consider
Okay.
going forward. But maybe we want to finish this first, launch into.
Yeah, I will say a lot of,
drafting,
we've had 2 municipalities update their zoning codes for solar and,
They put it in the zoning?
see, I don't know the
Yeah,
technicalities.
okay, yeah. The Yorktown one, I know they did not put it in the
I
zoning.
think it was Portland or
Was
something
it
with a
Town of
C,
Portland?
maybe.
Or is it Yorktown?
I don't know.
Yorktown is the
You
one
might
I
be
looked
right.
at.
Okay.
And they did a standalone, and it wasn't incorporated
actual
into the
code.
zoning, right? The same way the expedited solar permit is, that's like a standalone legislation thing,
Okay,
So it would complement the zoning,
right.
yeah.
So how can we start moving that along?
I have some files on it. Melissa has some files
Yeah,
on
scenic
it.
Hudson's citing guide, they actually have a guide
Citing
that
guide.
tells you what kind of language you should be putting
Yeah.
in.
But I don't think should do anything with that until all this zoning kerfuffle is landed.
Like until the final zoning.
Yes. Right? Otherwise it'll be too confusing.
Yeah, well, Dover Coles already said they don't want to include solar language other than what's already there,
Uh-huh.
which was for small, like roof mounted or ground mounted, individual properties. And they didn't want to get into anything that they would consider to be large scale. That's what we would have to concentrate on.
Okay.
Pulling that in and then revisiting some of the mapping from the natural resource inventory and the open space plan and trying to determine locally the sites that would be suitable.
Okay.
I just forwarded you the 2 articles, and I think I got a temporary subscription to the Wall Street Journal, and I have a subscription to the New York Times, so I've got both of them. If you have membership, you can do get a shareable link, so you can even post it on social media. So I think I sent you that form of link to both of those, just in an email on parking in those newspapers.
Thank you.
Thank you for your passion for parking.
It's against
Not
cars,
parking.
really. Yeah. It's parking for active and equitable and shared mobility.
Anything else on zoning? All right, bike share. So, as you all know, we've been working on this for months. And Tanya and Rose gave a update on some things that happened at the latest meeting. I went to the Laws and Rules meeting on the 19th. You can watch it from the first and second on the agenda. The first thing was the Watershed Bill of Rights, which they tabled, and ultimately they tabled bike share. At this time, Alderman Oliveri has offered to evaluate the legislation for bike share and work with us. And I've spoken with John Gross-Bolin, who is the chair of the Streets Advisory Council. And certainly anyone else who wants to, if folks have concerns about what the legislation says, I'm not wed to anything. I'm not trying to push any kind of agenda. I just have money available to do a bike share. So I'm not trying to push anything through that people don't want. So I'm open to any kind of modifications. I will say it's been worked on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours by Ellie and Marissa and myself, and many other people. But we're not wed to anything. So I'm happy to, I don't know if there's anyone on this commission that feels like they want to be more closely involved. I know we've talked about it at all of our meetings. But it did articulate some of the concerns that came up. The biggest concern, in my opinion, with the Laws and Rules Committee. So I'm not going to state it out loud. You can watch the video. And so I feel as though maybe they don't know what they want. So, and I haven't gotten guidance from them on what they want. So it's been a little frustrating on our end, and putting things together. So either way, if there's anyone that wants to be more involved in the legislation, absolutely let me know. Otherwise, I plan to continue on with working with Complete Streets, and I will certainly present any version again to this commission to review before it goes back to Laws and Rules. Same thing with Live Well. Ellie, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Not at this time. So are you gonna workshop the concerns that were talked about there and then here, or what are your next steps for it?
So each specific concern that has been stated to us thus far was addressed in the version that we've had. With the exception of the fact that some members of the council, as was mentioned, want to parse out the difference between the regulation of e-bikes and bicycles versus the regulation of a shared services system. The administration, including myself, don't agree with that. And I was directed to go to the Laws and Rules with bring it all together into one document. And I stated this at the Laws and Rules meeting, and I'll state it here. I feel as though if we parse it out, they will never move forward the part that we parse out. And I stated at the Laws and Rules meeting that I'm not sure that they know when we'll be able to say, okay, we're ready. We're ready for a bike share system. And I don't know if there's some threshold that they think we need to pass, like certain number of people who don't get hurt, or a certain number of people who buy e-bikes, or a certain number of educational programs we offer, or a certain number of whatever. I don't think that they can articulate or really feel strongly that at any point we'll be able to say, okay, we're ready. And so I have continued to advance this as one single system, one single legislation. There was back and forth at the meeting about whether they should separate it out. They vote to separate it out, or all these other different things, and there is just not consensus. And frankly, I'm not sure that even with one of the legislators moving it forward with us, that there's still going to be consensus, because I don't think they're all on the same page. And I don't think they know what they want. So their default answer has been to continue to table it. So be it. So we just keep coming back. Again, Ellie and I have no agenda pushing forward with this. We don't have any final goal, like, it's whatever people want, but if people don't articulate to us what they want.
And they know the alternative of like, a company could just come in right now and drop off stuff.
Which I've said many times. And as a matter of fact, today, literally today, I got an email from Lime saying, we haven't heard from you. I thought, when is this happening? And I said, the legislation is still in development. After that, we would, if that were passed, we would go out to RFP. I'll let you know if that happens. So, yeah.
Can someone please explain why? I mean, first of all, when this first started, it was only e-bikes. So why was the inclusion of regular bikes ever needed? What was the purpose of that? Because honestly, I really want it out. I do not think that it is a prudent idea to overly regulate something that has never needed over-regulation in Kingston. It's just never needed it. So, I was all for the, moving forward a bike share program. And, in terms of it just appeared, I looked down and I didn't really see how this addition even came in. I mean, a couple of months ago, we were just talking about e-bikes, which is a total, and it also, I'm going to say this, it doesn't really address the primary issue that still exists with e-bikes, which is that by New York State law, you're not supposed to take them on a street that is 30 miles an hour or over. And I absolutely don't see where in this legislation that even goes near that. What's going to happen if somebody gets hit and a sharp lawyer, believe me, I know this all too well. The only recourse a person really has if they get hit is civil. So a lawyer is going to come along and say, well, you should never have been there to begin with. I mean, that's irresponsible. That's very irresponsible. We need to sort that out first. Believe me, nobody wants bikes all over the city more than me, but considering what I've just gone through and the crisis that we have in this city right now in terms of safety, I mean, don't we really just want to make sure that everything is really in place before we do this? I really absolutely don't understand what the rush is. I really don't. Another company can come in, so what? That's competition.
To be clear, the change that happened was in November when the three commissions, Commissioner Supervisory Council, Live Well Kingston, and Climate Smart Kingston were reviewing it. The scope was an ordinance for the operation of shared systems, including any shared devices within the city. And now in January with the Common Council, the scope changed to apply to the operation of bicycles, electric bicycles and scooters, and to the regulation of shared mobility device systems. So now it regulates all bicycles. It's more laws for bicyclists, and that's what the Common Council is really latching on to. They're like, yeah, more laws for bicycles. And then they point blank said at that meeting, we don't want more bicycles on the road. And the whole point of a shared system is to put more bicycles on the road, and it's a lot safer if there are more bicycles on the road to offset the cars. So they're not getting that basic thing. I wonder, at the very first time that it was announced at Climate Smart Kingston, Ellie, you mentioned engaging the public. And there was engagement of the public through these three boards. But you had mentioned the idea of talking to members of Bike Friendly Kingston, and I don't think any of them really know. I put sort of a clickbaity post up on Bike Friendly Kingston. Should Papa Wheelies be against the law in the city of Kingston. Because it doesn't say couple wheelies specifically are against the law, but it says not limited to, and it has all these other things, no trick riding. And that got a lot of people's response, but I put the legislation in there, and other people pointed to the other things of it with like more than two abreast and things like that. But it's got like, I think at this point, 52 comments. So I think Bike Friendly Kingston most of the members would be all for a shared system. So that you could get, there are people out there in the public that you could get fighting for a shared system. And maybe with the laws, maybe allowing e-bikes on less than 30 miles an hour, but otherwise just have that as a separate legislation for rules for bicycles in general.
I will say that the method by which it changed was under the process of our corporation council, who reviewed it and modified the language.
Yeah.
I think to do so to make it align with the state.
It doesn't.
But it doesn't, it actually makes it further.
They did a bad job.
They really did a terrible job. It looks like they didn't even look at the laws, actually.
Would you be willing to look at it and redline what you think is wrong?
Sure.
By the way, there is a reference under operational requirements about the not going on a highway in excess of 30 miles an hour. But either way, I'll send, do you have a copy of the latest version?
I do, yeah.
You do? Would you be able to redline it?
Yeah, for laws of real estate, right?
Great. So I guess to get your question, right now my process is wait for people.
Yeah, that was leading towards maybe having input from
Yeah.
Bike Friendly and people.
Yeah, I mean, input from Michael, from the council perspective, input from the complete street, I know.
Good luck with that guy. But Carl Frankel might be an ally.
And as a reference, Carl did try to advance this end of the meeting, but he was not successful. So Michael from the council, John Rose Rowland from Complete Streets, Rose from Bike Friendly, and I've been working with Emily from Livewell. But I mean, it's a self-imposed deadline. It's just a matter of, if we want to have a bike share system in place by this summer and have to go out to RFP, I mean, summer is here before we know it, and all that, like the legislation has to pass and then all the other things, but like, if people don't want to do it, or if they do want to do it, it's all self-imposed, the deadlines are all self-imposed, there's no other way. Are you going to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to react to your call for help on this topic.
Yeah.
And how could I help?
Yeah. Are you asking how you can help?
Yes.
Perfect. You should, because you're new to this commission, and you probably haven't read the legislation yet.
No.
So you should read the legislation with fresh eyes.
Okay.
And then meet with me or send me comments or redline it or suggestions or whatever you have. And we can either discuss that as a climate smart commission. You all can discuss the climate smart commission or just individually together, that's fine either way. Certainly anyone can do that. Anyone here can certainly do that. But you haven't actually seen it yet, so do you have the updated version?
No, but I was gonna write you an email right now.
Okay, perfect, great, yes, so that would be helpful. Anything else about bike share? It will be on an agenda on the council agenda again in May. Yes,
I'll be able to read it by that meeting.
okay, great.
I don't know about beforehand, so that sounds like a good plan.
Well, it'll be on our agenda, but it'll also be on the laws and rules agenda.
Oh, I see.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to add about bike share?
I'm taking it up for your time.
Oh, it's great, thank you. All right, now, let's see, organics. Oh, that is moving around swimmingly as well. I was on the board yesterday, of the organics, process at UFA and UCRI, which is our waste management location with CPW. We are still on track to be launching this, in the summer of this year. And, I am developing the registration as we speak for what the registration will be like for the different drop-off locations. So you'll see that come out in May at some point for people to register. Also in May at some point, the date can be determined, we will have the actual, a public meeting to present the final plan and the strategy for the rollout. So, it is, besides the earth fair, is the other thing that is consuming almost all of my time. But moving forward, which is very exciting.
That's great.
All right, new business. I got this request from the Ulster County Research Recovery Agency. They have a grant that is due tomorrow, or Friday, it's due tomorrow, Friday, but they want to know by tomorrow. Basically, what I'm handing you is the letter that came from Ulster County Research Recovery Agency, and then a draft on the other side. So I'm going to read this through since it's the first time I'm seeing it. Good morning, Angelina and I. So this is the educators, recycling coordinators / educators at Ulster County Research Recovery Agency are putting together a grant application for the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute. We're looking to create an Ulster County Tiffin project in which we would use grant money to provide residents with reusable stainless steel Tiffin containers that would replace single-use disposable takeout containers made from toxic materials to focus on PFAS. I'd like to acknowledge that the New Paltz Climate Action Coalition has an established Tiffin program, so we're hoping to expand and bring more public awareness to this amazing program through our efforts to achieve the goals of this project. We're looking to partner with community organizations to implement a countywide Tiffin distribution program, as well as community engagement initiatives that encourage the use of reusable takeout containers at retail food service businesses throughout Ulster County. This will be accomplished through a series of planning meetings, public events held in collaboration with community organizers, and the development of a new printed media brochures for the project. Therefore, we are reaching out for a letter of support, which would rely on your organization to collaborate with us on the project's implementation. I said, sure, I'll send it to Climate Smart, and we will let you know by Thursday morning if we want to do something. So this is the draft, and so this is what I want to talk through. Basically, it would be, if Climate Smart would like to, it would be submitting the following. It's with great excitement that I write this letter of support for the Ulster County Tiffin project for consideration of the 23-24 P2I Community Grants Program. The agency has made significant contributions to advancing environmental education about waste reduction and pollution prevention. We feel their project would be successful based on their education program's accomplishment and expertise. This is the part we need to decide on if we want to do something. Climate Smart, should we do this, would be supportive of their Tiffin project and act as a project partner in a number of ways. Our commission would be able to collaborate with the recycling outreach team to offer, and here are the things they're suggesting. Support distributing the reusable Tiffins to local restaurant residents at one or more of the project's events. Conduct a certain number of hours of outreach to local food service businesses to promote the use of Tiffins and awareness about the project. Create or update a public list of participating businesses that encourage patrons to bring their own containers. Serve as a guest speaker for one or more of their events. Host a meeting space for one or more of their events. Or share it on social media and our newsletter or other things. So, does everyone know what a Tiffin is? So like a reusable container thing, like a couple different shapes or sizes that like people use takeout stuff, right? They basically want to expand what New Paltz is doing, do it on their own and hand these things out for free. And they want to know if we would be as in this case, Climate Smart would be a project partner. And if so, are any of these things that Climate Smart would be willing to do? And they need to know by tomorrow. Cal?
Hi. So I followed along while this rolled out in New Paltz. I would not block Climate Smart moving forward to support this, but in my own mind, I would prefer to see research showing that this leads to like significant waste decrease before the resources and time and effort go into supporting it. It has always seemed like a sort of weirdly bougie way to go about waste reduction, and I don't really understand why it's become such a local focus. And so I would really like to see evidence to say like we rolled this out and saw this reduction before I personally would be excited to support expanding the program. That's just me.
Thanks, Gil.
Yeah, I just, yes to what Cal said, because I really agree with that point of view. I would like to see evidence that this will make a difference.
Okay, other thoughts?
I agree, it's complicated.
Yeah, I think some restaurants won't give you, like, they won't let you give them a container for like food safety reasons. They
Yeah.
won't do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, is this?
I also think that human behavior just hasn't caught up with this yet. I mean, I care about the environment and I'm not gonna carry a reusable food container with me.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know the research behind this, but I would like to see better ways to recycle what's already available. Like, I don't believe in the solution.
I, just real quick, I would support the idea of like figuring out a system where people can bring their own container to get takeout in. Like, I think that is fine. I think that is like, I would support that sort of generally, but I don't really understand the specifically, like, we give you this particular container and then you bring it specifically. Like, do the restaurants have a stash of them in the back so that they take yours, but when you arrive, there's one that already has food in it? I don't understand the process super well. If they're not interchangeable, then why would you need to give someone a container when they probably have a bunch of them at home from previous take? Like, I don't know. That it seems like a strange system to me. So I would support coming up with a local initiative to encourage and to help people make less waste when they get takeout and maybe bring their own container. But the Tiffins specifically, for some reason, just grate on me. There's something bougie about them that irritates me. I don't know.
Okay, other thoughts?
Also, if they're saying they want to expand what's going on in New Paltz, you would think they would say because this is the reason what we see in New Paltz, which is what you all are saying. It's like there's no stats here, there's no data, there's no argument for it. It's just we did it here, let's do it here. I mean, so I agree. It's just
Well, I'll say from my personal experience, Iris, who some of you may know, Iris Marie Bloom, a fantastic local environmental advocate who lives in Stone Ridge, gave me a tiffin a couple of years ago, and it was a real game changer. I started bringing it to restaurants, religiously. Every Tuesday, we bring it to Santa Fe for Taco Tuesday, and they very kindly take it to the back as soon as we get there, fill it up, it holds a lot. So instead of us having to bring like multiple takeout containers, we like hand them, this like stack of reusable containers, we just hand them this one because the way it all fits together, it's very like neat and tidy. And if Iris hadn't given it to me, I never would have like known about it or started using it. And they do reuse well, as opposed to a lot of the like plastic containers that we have, that we get when we do takeout, they really like melt in the dishwasher and, just aren't good to reuse. I do have some stainless steel reusable containers, but again, if you're getting multiple dishes, you have to have like a stack of them and it could be very messy as opposed to the tiffin. So I do support the tiffin. I support this initiative. I think the name of the project is a little problematic because tiffin is such like a weird word that people don't get. And what I would prefer, and I don't know, it's probably too late because they're like trying to get these letters of support tomorrow, but if it was called like the Ulster County Takeaway Project, and then, it could be bigger than just all about the tiffin. Like it could be, we're giving away these tiffins, or we're promoting the tiffins, but like it's not just about like these containers, it's about reducing our waste, it's about using other reusable containers. Oftentimes, if I know I'm not gonna be getting a whole meal to go, but I'm just going to a restaurant and anticipating I might have a little left over from my meal, I'll just have a small plastic container, like a Chinese reusable thing in my purse. So I think it's just educating people in general about getting in the habit of doing that. And that's why I like the idea of it being more about takeaway. I also think that something we've talked about for a long time that I would love is if we had like a brochure or something that we could promote to area restaurants so that they could switch to compostable containers, because some of, like you go to Lola and whatever you think about Lola aside, they have eco, to-go-ware. As opposed to, a lot of places, like the Chinese Super Bowl, whatever, that has like all plastic to go, take out stuff.
Yep.
So I think like, I like this idea, I would be happy to provide a letter of support, but I think ultimately I would prefer to see it as part of a bigger initiative that wasn't just all about the tiffin, even though like, hey, giving away free tiffin sounds pretty cool, and I've definitely used mine, so that's my 2 cents.
Are you good if I go, or yes, you're, sorry.
It's okay, thank you.
Would it be more impactful to deny the letter of support in order to get our criticism a bit across?
That's not how I roll, but.
I mean, I'd like to think differently. I'm not always right.
Can we supply the letter, but send another letter on the side that says, we would love for you to also consider, and then have bullet points on what we just.
Well, the thing is, as a project partner, we would need to commit to doing something as a project partner. So one of these things, support distributing reusable tiffins to local residents at one of their projects events, conducting X hours of outreach to local food services businesses to promote the use of tiffins and awareness of the project, create or update a public list of participating businesses that encourage patrons to bring their containers, be a guest speaker, or host it as a meeting place. You can host a meeting place.
I'd love to give them out at the Earth Fair.
Yeah, I mean, why
There's
not?
no way that's gonna happen. I mean,
Maybe
the
next
grant
year.
the grant is due Friday, but there's no way they're gonna know and have the tiffins and do everything in 3 weeks.
Well, we have talked about tabling outside of Village Coffee and Good Fillery towards the summer, because they offered for us to table there. I think that's the only other time we table other than Earth Fair. Or a farmer's market for Earth Day, which we do this year.
I would be happy to be a guest speaker at one of their events. I could talk about my tiffin experiences.
I really like how you talked about expanding it beyond tiffin.
Right, well, that's something we could do.
Yeah,
But like, I say, let's give them the letter of support, get a bunch of free tiffins, and hopefully maybe that will be an impetus for us to get the ball rolling about, promoting the compostable takeaway containers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think especially since Kingston has such limited recycling, what's the name of that machine that we can't afford, that we don't think is worth it?
Oh,
The Wrangler or the something,
I can't remember.
the machine that
Optical sorter?
that there was some kind of thing that
Yeah,
is $140,000 that, so it's like Kingston can't recycle like hardly anything. I mean, like literally everything goes in the garbage. It makes me insane. So, this could be a really important thing for us to do, to reduce waste, and maybe, we could get Ulster Climate Smart to pick up, whatever initiative we put together.
You mentioned Lola,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
just a
possible.
place.
in other words, takeout, it's compostable.
Yeah, I mean, they just use for a salad, you'll get like just a little thin cardboard box, that's like so little waste, you could throw it probably in your composter. They have, for their ice cream, they have, compostable stuff, like everything's just very limited, it's not like big plastic,
Right, because I know in the earth, what do you call it, in the Soviets, the garlic festival, they were compostable.
Oh, it's a zero waste event. Yeah, there's a lot of options
And
now.
to me, it seems to me that would be a more
Yeah.
viable way to go in terms of trying to get restaurants to try to adapt to compostable. And I mean, this other thing seems very complicated to be tested.
I mean, I think it's great as both. I mean, not everyone is going to ever bring a reusable container. Like, it takes effort, it takes extra thought. It's always like, did you bring the tiffins? I mean, it takes that extra step. It's like carrying around a fork with you. Not everybody's gonna do it. So I think it's about both things.
What are these Teflons made of?
They're stainless steel.
Is this the one that they give out?
Yeah,
This is it right here.
that's it. But that's why I like the
I have
idea, I mean, and we could say, we wanna call our project the takeaway project. Because it's about, takeaway containers in general, this is one solution, it's not the only solution.
But should we be asking Okra to do this? Or you're trying to say Climate Smart should take this on now, but.
I mean, I think they really want a letter, and so I think if we provide a letter, I think it's just a nice collegial thing to do, and it'd be cool to get some of these free tips to see about. And I think I would say, we could put in our letter that we aim to make it part of a larger takeaway initiative that we hope will be like emulated at the county level. I mean, maybe Nana Joe is the queen of, reducing waste, would also be excited about promoting this as a county legislator. I mean, we need to ban like single-use plastic altogether, but it's like, just like with the bags, we started 10, 20 years ago with people promoting reusable bags, and like people started doing it, and then it became normal, and then we banned it. And by then, like a lot of people were already like, oh, okay. It's like a similar thing. It's like we kind of have to start doing it, and then you ban it so people don't like freak out. And then at the same time, you can do the compostable stuff, so, because not everybody's ever gonna remember to bring stuff.
So competing systems may make it complicated, confusing. At some point, something's gonna have to win out, meaning that, it would seem to me the path of least resistance would be to do the composable, to have the restaurants actually just convert from the plastic to the composable.
But it's still waste.
That's what I was just gonna say, it adds to the waste, and yes, it could be composted, but is it,
Depending on it, is it going to a commercial composter, like some of that stuff.
So just as a reference, when we start rolling out our our food scraps program in this summer, we are not accepting any containers.
Except any what you
Containers.
But this is what the research.
Even if
Oh,
you
in
say
other words,
compostable.
those compostable restaurant containers cannot be in your food scraps. Correct.
There you go.
But
Because
it's-
some of them all have a lining on them.
Yeah.
But isn't that a better evil than the hard plastic containers?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but some of them
And they're not made
need
from
industrial
fossil
compost for a commercial compost.
Yeah.
It's also what they're made of, because plastic is made from petroleum. Whereas like compostable containers are made from like a plant-based plastic, so at least it's better.
So I'm on the better team now. Cal, I was with you.
Sorry, Cal, I got Karen.
Vote for Cal.
I'm not convincing anyone of anything. My stance on it is that this is a probably not a great use of time and resources, but it doesn't mean that I want to block anybody else from doing what they think is right.
Right, gotcha.
Well, yeah, I think we should commit to in my opinion, the lowest lift as far as what we commit to. But I also think we should make sure they're aware of our feelings about it on the side of this letter. Because also I don't feel like it really should be on Climate Smart Kingston to take on this broader initiative.
And they're also requiring us to do something.
Well, they're asking for our help.
To be the active participants.
I just have a logistical question that's not related to this letter. There's no health laws that say you can't do this? Like, have you ever had some restaurant tell you they can't do that? Oh, that's so strange.
I was gonna ask that too, when you take out from Santa Fe, do they have the food inside some other like paper container?
They just like wait till you get there to, I think fully get it ready.
Oh, you're talking about takeout as in,
Yeah.
you call and you take out, not like leftovers.
That's what I was talking about, yeah. If you bring
I
it
was
to
thinking
a,
of leftovers.
no, I was talking about like, we always do takeout, we do a lot of takeout. And we go to Santa Fe, like religiously on Tuesdays, and do like takeout for Taco Tuesdays. If we go out, eat out at a restaurant, then you're bringing your container and then you're just doing it yourself.
So when you call Santa Fe, you say, hey, it's better, I want my usual, and I'm bringing my own container, don't put stuff in a container. And you don't think that they're like, oh, shoot, take it out of the container, we already put it in and put it in the garbage.
Yeah, I wonder if.
I think they're used to it.
a deposit method maybe is like the restaurant keeps the tiffin containers, and then a restaurant who agrees has a supply of tiffin containers. Someone who wants the tiffin container for takeout adds a $15 deposit to their bill. When they return it, they get that $15 back.
Like a last file for milk.
And
Yeah,
also, how
exactly.
many people actually call in? You know, most people just go to restaurants, they'll give you their.
Right, then they can hand it to them.
Yeah.
Oh, people call it.
All right, well, we're getting on a tangent. We need to decide.
This is
all.
huge, though.
This is great.
We're just-
Okay, so-
we should have planned this program.
In order to do anything in this, I would need a motion. And the motion would need to state what the commission is interested in doing, and then I need a second, and then there can be more discussion.
I move that we provide them a letter, that we do the least, heavy lift, probably we commit to the least heavy lift possible. And that we add some kind of a line about, Kingston would support like more expansive takeaway project, or maybe we just put that in the accompanying email to not make their lives difficult. So that they know that, we would really like if they could broaden this and not just call it the Tiffin project, but call it the takeaway project. But at least just like give them the letter that they want, get the free Tiffins, and then kind of take it from there. And that also is starting on a good note of like collaborating with them rather than saying, we're not giving you the letter, like, we want you to do this, and saying, here's the letter, let's start working together, but like, ultimately, like, here's what we would really love to see.
Now I need you to take that and make it into a one-sentence motion that Kevin can put into the notes.
Okay. I move that Climate Smart Kingston provide UCRA with a letter of support for their Ulster County Tiffin project.
Is there a second?
I second.
Yeah, which one are we choosing though? Support the distribution of reusable Tiffins? We're not gonna commit research hours or,
We could do a guest speaker and we could do the meeting space. And I think we could say, and, distribute Tiffins at Climate Smart Kingston events. Second.
There's already a second on the table from Karen. You second that?
Yes.
Okay, is there any discussion? So what I'm hearing is it would be, and before we go to the vote, it would be sending this letter. In it, we would state that the commission would support distributing the reusable Tiffins, serve as a guest speaker for one or more of the events, and offer a meeting space. And in the examples or enabling us to further achieve our mission by, do you want me to be including any of these things we talked about, which included a better way to recycle what's available, more research, figuring out a system to bring your own container, use existing containers, make less waste, Ulster County takeaway project, and include Tiffins as part of it, and compostable ware. Are any of those things something you want me to be stating in the letter, or is that all something you want me to be stating in the communication?
Well, it does give you an option, so maybe just, you could say something about like helping raise awareness among Ulster County residents and restaurants to lessen our, dependence on single-use plastic,
Yes,
something like that.
definitely.
I have a question to contribute.
Okay.
Do we know whether UCRA is already planning to do this outreach in languages other than English?
No idea.
Can we ask?
Yes?
Just in the separate letter, whatever. I think part of my concern rests on my expectations of who's going to take part. So if they make it more accessible to more folks, I think I would be more on board.
Okay, so currently the motion stands for what I've stated before with the supporting the distribution, the guest speaking, and the meeting space with a statement for reduction of single-use containers through multiple methods, including the use of Tiffins. And a separate note, me sending all these notes that we've talked about so far, including adding in what I just mentioned, plus multilingual access. Is there any other discussion? Then I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Cal?
All opposed?
Cal might be abstaining.
Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, all opposed.
Can you tell me just the difference between if I oppose versus if I abstain? Is there any practical difference for whether it moves?
No difference.
Then I do oppose.
Okay, one opposed,
I'll abstain.
abstain, one abstention. Okay, so it still passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I should have been clean.
You wanna change your mind?
Wait,
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Do you need me to call for another vote? Either way, we have, right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor. Even if you change your vote,
If
it
there
will
was another
still be,
vote, I'm gonna abstain.
it would still be 4 to 3.
But let him go on the record for his vote.
Okay, would you like to vote as an abstention? Okay, so that is 4 to 1 to 2. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You
I
okay?
didn't mean to say it like that also, sorry.
What?
I didn't mean to come off like that.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
All right, so the motion passes 4 to 1 to 2. I will be sending this letter tomorrow morning.
The conditions are not in the letter, that's an aside letter.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I need the conditions.
I don't know if you bring my scratch.
Yeah, I can
But it
just-
does, maybe they can find it about your involves.
Better to
It's all
recycle
of this?
what's available, yes, more research, figuring out
Okay.
a system
Okay.
to be
Let me
like
just
this here.
scan.
Okay. All right, there's no other new business. Are there any announcements, communications, events, or updates? Is there anything from Ulster County Climate Smart Committee?
I think I shared the most exciting news.
Are there any other announcements, communications, events, or updates?
Oh, and we have a wonderful new youth representative. And it made me think, oh, it would be so great for us to get a youth representative too.
Okay. We've tried.
I know, maybe that's something we could promote at our fair.
Yes. That is a good idea. Oh, try that one.
What is a youth representative?
Basically like comes to our meetings.
Right.
Thinking it's high school.
Yeah, I mean, this kid's like
Or Huckle College.
in college, but somebody, you know, under 25.
All their perspective.
Yeah. Boys.
All right, any other announcements? So, social media postings. Earth Fair, Earth Fair, Earth Fair.
Yes, that's what I have. And also, if you send me more details about like bus route and refrigerants, like where's the location of everything,
Yeah.
then I can post that in advance for people.
I'm coming up with a page full of copy
Good.
Okay.
that I'm just gonna schedule with our city's communications director.
Okay.
I'll just send you that.
Okay. And then I have, there was something about the zoning language that was mentioned that should go on the Climate Smart page that you said maybe, well, I don't know. I don't know what that was about. I was,
Our regulations.
I
don't know if we have a.
I wrote it down, but I wrote down to get clarity or someone send me something to post, otherwise I don't know.
I think Todd was sending something to the list to me. I'm interested. I mean, who knew that there was so much controversy around parking?
Or anything else for social media postings?
That's all I have right now.
Any other business? If not, I need, well, no, hold on. I am going to check next meeting because I don't like playing this game of not having quorum. And we're going to check to make sure everyone's gonna be here. So, May 24th, 5/24. May the 24th be with you. Is there anyone who already knows they will not be here? Okay.
I know I won't be here on the 28th of June, but I don't know if you care.
I won't be here on the 28th of June either.
But I can reply now. No, I don't.
I probably will not either, but we're gonna review that at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we should have quorum. That means now I'm ready to attend and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, Julie, sorry, I was just checking my other calendar. That's the same day as that clean tech and renewables thing at the Senate garage, so I will probably be at that.
That's on which one? The May 24th?
May 24th, yes.
That's a good call.
If anyone else is going to be at that, then it might affect our numbers.
I kind of wanted to go to that too.
What time is that, Cal? Do you know offhand?
5:30 to 8:30. So it's overlaps.
Yeah. What about like having our meeting the week before?
17th?
No, laws and rules.
I could, but yeah.
I can't. And laws and rules is that night.
Does it make sense to just try and keep the meeting shorter, try and all get here on time and try to get out in time to get to the other event?
The other event starts at 5:30, so.
I mean, is it something that you go in the beginning and stay to the end, or is it something you can float into?
When I looked at it, I think they've got like an agenda for the whole time. It's not a mixer. It's like an event with like discussions and breakouts and stuff. So I don't know that it's something to come too late. I can check the agenda and forward it to the rest of the team though.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who knows they're going?
If no one else is going, it might not make much difference.
Well, 6 people, and if you two don't go, then I'll be down to 9. Just still a quorum. Since we don't have at least 3 people here, not at least 3, I will send out a note tomorrow, and if we have enough people, then we'll just continue on with the date, and if not, I will send out other options.
What about like the following ones?
The 31st,
Maybe the 31st, yeah.
what do people want to do? Keep it on the 24th or move it to the 31st?
Cal, what about the 31st for you?
Let me look. The 31st I could do. Yeah, the 31st would be fine.
I'm good with the 31st also.
Wait, we're voting on the 31st? Okay,
Yes?
we're voting on May 31st instead of May 24th. Can you do the 31st?
31st of May.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so
all.
then
We're
we're going to
changing
move
it
May
from
to
the
May
24th.
31st.
Okay. That's a Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Any other business?
I move to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Kevin, all in favor?
I-
7:32.
Yes, I think what we were talking about earlier, it's not a place right now to bring that stuff.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Oh,
Cal.
You already got those,
And you're going.
In our
Yeah,
building.
I'm right.
Nice.
You want to take those two or?
Yeah. Do you want me to do any others, like,
Another
I don't know.
like there is a list earlier but if you have a specific place, I know the city in my brain.
Okay, I
Like,
mean, you know,
ban
ban
or criteria for compostable restaurants. There's not.
All right. That way it's there.
Sure.
and I was
And I
saying,
could
like,
go along
there
sign
isn't
also.
anywhere to put that stuff, like, if
Stuff
stuff
is
is
industrial, like I was
Thank you
aware.
very
Oh,
much.
my God.